Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Riot International Invitationals with our very first game of today, which will be Dignitas UK and Wizards. For every game of the remainder of today will be a best-of-1 format. Apology for the delays. I know it's been over an hour now, but many of the players had issues with their clients and many other issues, but we're finally here. I am Pulse, I'm joined by Spuddington, as we jump into the champion picks and bans.
It's been a long time since we've had anything to cast here at Chaos TV, and I know I've been missing it, but a nice little reunion with our tech issues built up over those missing 3 or so weeks. But we have actually got the picks and bans coming in pretty quick. We've got the RO16 locked in, the Renekton locked in, and as well the Caitlyn.
Yeah, it was all pent-up Spuddington, all those tech issues we didn't have for weeks because we weren't doing anything all came in at the same time, but that's kind of what happens when you go into the tournament realm. So, ban champions from both of these teams, very interesting. REZ, pretty standard, all the mid laners like Kassadin, like Orianne, Gragas, all those kind of typical picks you expect to see nowadays. Along with Shen in the top lane, kind of a staple pick, which has been a staple pick for a long time. Lee Sin in the jungle, along with Vi, has seen a lot of play very recently. And it's kind of interesting that we see Dignitas UK ban out Ahri, considering their old mid laner, Cook My Sock, was basically the Ahri Pro, and has indeed been replaced by Alchemist.
Yeah, indeed. Apparently they felt like Cook My Sock had not been performing on the same level that he used to be. I remember in the very early days of the EUS Challenger Series, he was a monster and was almost single-handedly carrying some of their games. Rest of Team Dignitas has definitely stepped up, but Cook My Sock has now stepped down. DX Alchemist, a well-known player from, a fair few teams we've seen him in the past, and he's always performed very well. And indeed, I believe Orianna is pretty much his staple champion. Couple that with the Aatrox and the Sona, and this is already looking like a really strong team fight.
Absolutely, and Dignitas have always been a team who is very dynamic. I think a lot of casters and a lot of people definitely respect that, and I'm interested to see what Alchemist will bring to the table, because of course Cook My Sock was kind of the cornerstone of the team. The team would often revolve around him doing well, and then they could go for those dynamic plays, looking for those picks, going for those objectives. So then when Alchemist comes into the fray, I'm not really sure what his playstyle is compared to their old last mid laner, so we'll see what happens in this game against Wizards, who are indeed a very competent team in their own right, and again, both looking for very strong team fights.
Yeah, indeed. Jarvan, Zyra, Renekton, ton of AoE damage coming in there, but it is looking at the moment like if Dignitas pick another 2 champions that would be both AoE centric, they would actually probably have the advantage in terms of teamfight potential. However, Wizards have that Zyra locked in, and that always gives them an out against an AoE comp. They can always just say, okay, they've blown 2 or 3 major ultimates, we're going to Stranglethorns, we're going to back off, and then we can re-engage later on. They do have short cooldown re-engage from that Jarvan, so potentially looking good there for Wizards, and we'll see what Dignitas look to go for here. Corki wouldn't be too surprising, just a very good generalist at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, Corki is considered to be one of the best, if not the best AD carry. After the mana changes, that's all he really needed. His damage is pretty crazy. People have started to do some maths as well on whether it's viable to run Sork Boots or hybrid penetration on Marks and potentially Quintessences as well. For the majority of players, some people will go for the Sork Boots or go for a more traditional build, but either way, he dishes out a lot of damage. Top lane will be Jax, so they're already having multiple threats. Again, Aatrox can do well. Having that pass will again allow him to be in that position where he can just slice through anyone on their team and be relatively safe. So very beefy lineup. They have the ball carriers as well for Orianna, and then they've just got a very solid support in the form of a Sona.
Interesting point though, that Dignitas here have chosen to take that Jax, and they're picking that into Renekton. They know what he's up against. Renekton is a really difficult lane for Jax to deal with. It's one of the 2, maybe 3 that can really just build an advantage. If in a straight up one-on-one, a one-on-one that went on for like half an hour between a Jax and a Renekton, Jax would eventually come out on top, but it takes a very long time, and if Renekton can even kill him once in all that time, he can build a really big snowball, stay ahead as a duelist, and be a very big teamfight presence as well. So I'm curious to know what the plan is there. They may just literally be planning on either camping Renekton into the ground or straight up outplaying him. I don't know. It's definitely an option. Nitrix is a very solid player.
Yeah, for sure. Jax is one of those time bomb champions like Irelia, like Nasus as well, but if Renekton can get those early kills, he has a very snowbally top lane, and he can transition into more basically a beefcake, a tank, when he gets into the mid and later stages of the game. But if you just get that early advantage, then you can build up Brutalizer and just keep up the pressure and ramp up the pressure, and Jax will never really get into that split pushing, really annoying presence, because Jax, one of his major strengths, and along with a lot of time bomb top lanes like Nasus, is his split pushing ability, not so much his team fight. He's always had issues with really connecting with people, and when he does actually get on the face, hits them with the counter strike, yes, but then he doesn't really have that many tools really to stick to people. But now with the phase changes, that's questionable. But again, his ability to get into those split pushing fights are so much better. But we'll be jumping onto the delay timer, and when we get into game, we will be there very shortly. So Wizards versus Dignitas will be back very shortly. See you soon.
Are finally into an actual game. It is Wizards versus Dignitas UK. I am Spuddington, and I'm going to be joined once again by Pulse.
Hey, how's it going? We see both of these teams fanning out, and we'll see if we have any early aggression. Dignitas do really like their level 1 engagements, and both these teams have gone for very teamfight-centric compositions. What do you think about their level 1s here, Spuddington?
Well, Aatrox with the Dark Flight, really solid in that level 1. With an AoE stun from Counter-Strike, they have a lot of potential in the camp of Dignitas. But they are up against several strong abilities on the other side. Pelt over Peacemaker, Grasping Roots, these kinds of things. These level 1 AoE abilities are very, very strong in these level 1 fights, just because people tend to bunch up. You tend to run into each other in these narrow jungle passageways. And in this case, it doesn't look like anyone's going to be actually running into anyone, so pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, there's enough to fear on both these teams, where neither of the teams want to really go and butt heads in the jungle, especially with Zyra being one of the kings of the level 1, or rather the queen of level 1, with the grassing roots, which can potentially root down 5 people in that team. We've seen it before. So both these teams going to go for more conservative starts. Looks like Aatrox, where is he going? Looks like he's going to head up onto his blue. No, he's going to stick around the red area, and we'll have a red start as well from Jarvan. So they'll be fine. They won't actually be finding themselves in the early game ganks. They'll go for those level 3s and maybe look for the bot or top or even bot ganks respectively.
So, Wizards right now have gone for a 2v1 swap up. Or look, they were aiming for that 2v1 swap up. However, it looks like they have been called on that. They're going to be throwing Renekton into that bottom lane. You can see he is intending to simply take away the wolf camp when it spawns. Wait, okay, yeah, there we go, it spawned. Yeah, I forgot. Wolf camp spawns later. But the thing is, because this is actually not going to work out so well for him necessarily, he's going to take a lot of damage, and if he ends up in that straight 1v1 in that bottom lane, that could actually work out poorly for him.
Yeah, indeed, and so at the bottom, it's just vacated. There's no one there. No one even wants to go for it, because both of the lanes recognize if the other person pushes, then they'll need to go back, and if they freeze it, then they'll need to farm the jungle. But both of them did it, so the minions are having a field day.
They are battling, and Nitrix actually has spotted that and is now going to just head down there and get his first couple of levels easily. That's actually really convenient though for Dignitas. Jax is going to get that level advantage. He's going to get some free farm for a little while, and that will give him an edge, which he desperately needs in this kind of lane. However though, the reason both teams did that is because standard play in a 2v1 lane is for the AD and support to freeze. So the top laner doesn't need to do anything anyway. And so, because they both expected to be in a 2v1, they both went to do some jungling and get some XP that way.
Yeah, and as it worked out, Renekton went back and probably picked up a couple more pots or maybe a ward. Yeah, he actually opted for the ward. So he will be slightly behind, as you mentioned, Spuddington. And Jax, if he gets the early advantage, that could really, really cripple Renekton. He needs to get that early advantage, because if he doesn't, then Jax will keep on farming, and then you can't stop him from farming, and then he'll split push and you don't have a duelist for him. So Renekton kind of needs to stay on top of that. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we've got Jarvan looking for that gank. He's sitting in the brush, waiting very patiently. Of course, has to make sure not to wait too long, and also not sap too much XP from that lane, because all these extra levels early game can matter so much in engagements.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, if you get caught in a situation where your opponents get an extra level on you, and then they can engage on you, they can force that engage on you, you lose, basically. That was always the case. However, Nitrix has potentially baited out Corwin.
Yeah, looking for this guy, gets the counter-strike off, Darkflight comes in, doesn't quite connect with Renekton, but at least gives Nitrix some breathing room. Knowledge that the flash isn't there will reduce that kill potential significantly. Impaler also pushing this wave in as well, so maybe Nitrix looking to go back.
And that was also a flash burn by Alchemist in the mid lane. Jarvan did come in, and now he's kind of trapped in this situation where he can't easily go back, and he is out of mana as well, so he can't really push Gragas around. So the only question kind of really is whether Gragas feels that he can afford to risk getting into a situation where Aatrox is on him and where Orianna auto-attacks are contributing damage. That's the only reason he's not going to shove Alchemist into tower permanently.
Yeah, and Frederick looked for the gank, didn't quite work out. Impaler actually probably just saw him and was waiting for maybe the gank to come in anyway and look for the counter gank, but didn't actually happen. So top lane, we will have, of course, the Caitlyn Zyra lane kind of shoving around Samwise and Yerrow, which is kind of to be expected in that matchup. At least with the early game, Caitlyn will have the slight advantage, and Corki will have the advantage when it comes to trading. And when we hit that level 6, honestly, I do favour the Yerrow Samwise lane. Having that engagement, having the burst as well from Corki, may even result in them nuking down the target before they can respawn. However, Grassing Roots and also the Ultimate Strangleforms, another great tool for getting out of those sticky situations.
Yeah, it's essentially Dax. It's going to have to watch his back once they've hit level 6 in that duo lane. Because the Sona Crescendo, if he is ready for it, he can start the Strangleforms before the sun lands. But if he's not, if he's caught out by that Crescendo, and, you know, he's just in the middle of, say, a Grasping Roots animation, he can get stunned, he can get bursted, he's got no escape, and he will get brutalized in that situation. If he's lucky about it, though, he should be okay, and if he's alert, he should be okay. But then, of course, Aatrox, ganks, these sort of things tend to throw it off.
Yeah, of course, the jungler intervention is something you can't really account for when you're theory crafting. Again, a gank situation could result in that Wizards lane actually doing much better. So both the junglers is clearing their jungle, and in fact doing a lot of jungle clearing this game. Jarvan, in fact, has cleared all of his camps, level 5 right now. Corki about to hit that level 5 as well. And Frederick heading up into the top lane will be scouted by that ward, and I think the pink ward's not quite in range, but they will see him, so he's going to look for this guy. They haven't quite hit the level 6 just yet. Looking for Flag and Drag, knocks up Sona, Grassing Ridge comes across, doesn't connect onto Yarrow. Samwise still in a dodgy situation, but does have the Valkyrie available to him. Diamond comes in, Flash into the ultimate, knocks Yarrow back, another barrel comes out, Hiltover doesn't quite hit, Flash comes out, and the first blood gets picked up by Caitlyn.
Nicely played there by Wizards, but it's worth noting Dignitas definitely could have seen Jarvan and reacted a little bit faster than they did do. And you saw how close it was. If they had reacted even half a second, then it would have been okay for them. Wizards are not going to go for that sort of second dive there.
Yeah, Corki does a lot of damage. You've got to be very careful, because when he hits that level 6, even right now, he is doing so much, especially under that tower. If they did go for the 3v1, probably at least one of them would have died, if not two. So, I'm going to go for the more safe option of recalling and just pushing it into the tower, trying to deny some of that CS and experience. Meanwhile, at the blue buff, waiting for this to spawn. So, a little more conservative right now, but in the bot lane, both of the players duking it out, and Corwin has picked up a small CS advantage, which is to be expected, but considering Jax at that early level, then, well, he's done very well for himself. Top tower will fall to Caitlyn and Dax.
Yeah, it's pretty much par for the course in that Renekton-Jax matchup, but I do have to worry for the sake of that Renekton, has he actually gotten himself enough of an advantage right now? There's this kind of dangerous phase you can get into where you think you're ahead, you know, you've got CS, but even one kill, one extra tower on the other side can turn that advantage around. And in an equal fight now, Jax is going to start to get to a point Renekton can't cope with him without using Dominus, but Jax can always disengage with Leap Strike. It's now very much a kind of play and counterplay, and if Nitrix is allowed to farm up, if he continues to get this experience, continues to get this gold, it's only going to get harder and harder for Corwin to fight him.
Yeah, and as a result, they've swapped Jackson to the top lane, not only giving him that ability to freeze the lane pretty far back so they can't really stop him, but at the same time they needed to move their bot lane to bot lane because Dax and also Caitlyn will be looking to go into the bot lane as they've already taken the tower to maybe push that one in as well. And generally they'll have the advantage when it comes to the Drake fight, but they have also slotted those people there, so maybe they can react in time. The pink ward has come out, but is also in range of the Wizards pink ward. Poke comes in from Samwise, but that's only what they can hope for at the moment, as Smite is not up from Jarvan, so they've got to be very careful about this. Rockets comes across, a big one connects onto Jarvan. He's got to be very scared as Impaler gets knocked back. Please ultimate's coming out, Strangleforce knocks a couple up, along with Diamond off to the backside. Impaler now jumps onto Corwin. He's 1 versus 4, he picks up one with Call the Meek. Dominus popping in for the kill. And now everyone will be backing off. That's a 3-for-1 trade in favor of Dignitas.
And that was a 4v5 over Dragon. Dragon was not picked up. Nitrix is shoving in his top, and he will get that top tower. That is a huge windfall for Dignitas, and a lot of it was just predicated on the fact that Samwise got so much damage down with his rockets. I think he must have taken off a good 300-400 health off of 3 or 4 people before that engage ever happened. That was the only reason they were able to burst people down with Alchemist's ult, which was a very good ult as well, but just such a good fight there on the whole from Dignitas.
Yeah, and it looked like Wizards were very hesitant about even going in the first place. Flag and Drag actually knocks up 2. Can they actually get there in time? Cataclysm comes across, Piltover comes through, but he's getting completely nuked down. He drops in return. Can Caitlyn pick up the pieces along with Dax? Do any of them have the summons to do so? Piltover comes through, dupe from Yarrow, doesn't get the auto attack down. Meanwhile, Samwise has been batting away, and Piltover will be blocked by Samwise. And no kills go down, but a kill in return. So from the 3 versus 2, Dignitas pick up another kill.
Yeah, and this is actually the classic thing we've seen from Dignitas UK in the past. Haven't seen them in the last couple of weeks, haven't seen them since their roster change, but their ability to snowball was probably second to none in the challenger scene. I'd say not even second to Copenhagen Wolves, because that was the thing that Dignitas did so incredibly well. They lacked in other areas compared to a team like Copenhagen Wolves, who were pretty much the undisputed champions of the challenger scene. But they seem to be doing very well in this laning phase, and they are getting the lead that they want and the lead that they have so frequently in the past snowballed to.
Yeah, Diamond comes through, knocks Aatrox to the side with his ultimate, but it's kind of a disposable ultimate at any stage in the game with a fairly low cooldown.
Yeah, it's about a minute and a bit. Yeah, a minute and a half. There we
Yeah.
go. So nothing too surprising there. And he tends to rush that Fiend's Unholy Grail anyway, so he will be okay. Frederick waiting around the side there, looking for the kill on Impaler, I suspect. But unless Impaler walks forward a little bit too far here, this will be dangerous.
Yeah, Corwin looking for the slice and dice onto the wolves, then onto Impaler, but doesn't choose to go for it. Would put him into a dicey position as Orianna is already off to the side. But Jarvan is in the jungle, just stealing away some of this farm and just kind of hurting Impaler. All the players right now are looking to kind of do as much damage to Impaler as they can because there's nowhere else they can really do damage. They can't go bot lane because 3 versus 2, we've already seen that Dignitas come out on top. Top lane, Jaxus is quite happy to farm. He can get out of dodge if he needs to. He's also got the wards if he wants to ward jump. And then mid lane's Orianna, maybe that's a chance for them to do something. But apart from that, it's just Impaler.
Yep, and indeed. One of the things that is putting Wizards into a bit of an awkward spot now is the fact that that dragon fight last time went very, very poorly for them. Jax is constantly pressuring this top lane, but they can't really just sit in their lanes and farm either because they lack that crucial outer tower in the bot lane compared to Dignitas. They can afford to sit much more safely in this area and just farm it out because it means that in that 2-on-2, the moment Impaler isn't missing and could be going there, they have to run. They have no other choice. And it also looks to me like Nitrix is getting the better of Corwin.
Yeah, Jax has reached a horrible stage where he can outduel Renekton and he'll carry on split pushing. There's nothing that Renekton can do about it in the long term. Drake is being currently taken by Dignitas, gets picked up very easily. Aatrox coming in with the smite, and Frederick off to the north side and really can't do anything about it. So Wizards are put into a horrible position where Jax is killing their top lane. Corwin again forced to slice out. So they'll either need to submit 2 people to the top lane, or they just try and turtle in and just let them take towers, which is not the state you really want to be in.
Yeah, they cannot afford to give too many towers away because Dignitas, as mentioned, snowball very hard, and the more map control you give them, that means more towers drop, that means more gold, and that makes them even more bold. That is why they do so well in these situations, and at the moment they're doing a very good job of juggling their opponents around. You can see now they aren't playing the solo queue mentality, where it always ends in a team fight. We must group because we must group. They are doing this very kind of disparate style, but they're making sure Jarvan is never able to force engages that are unfavorable.
Yeah, ultimate comes in the mid lane, clears out the wards at the same time, but the Orianna ultimate comes in. Damage gets completely shredded, drops, and Impaler now into the blood pool. Dax comes in from the north, and Frederick takes another hit from Orianna. Flash over the wall, Dragonfalls doesn't get the knock, another flash from Corwin. Ace the hole comes through, hits Alchemist, Slice picks up the kill on to Orianna. That was a 1-for-1 trade, but they picked up in the mid tower as well.
Yeah, good roam there by Corwin, getting himself into the right place at the right time. Has blown his ultimate, but that's not going to matter. Nitrix can't afford to push forward now, doesn't have that vision in that upper jungle. He will back off. Dignitas UK coming out a little bit behind in that engagement there. So that will kind of temper their aggression for now. The next question, in fact, is where are they going to go for? Corki is getting a decent bit of farm, but at the moment, there isn't really an obvious soft point for Dignitas to go for.
Yeah, they wanted to go for mid, they picked up mid. And they want to go for a team fight, but they can't go for a team fight because Wizards will inevitably sit at their turrets. Baron is kind of off the cards, 1, because it hasn't spawned, and 2, because even at 15 minutes, they could potentially go for it, but it just gives Wizards an opportunity to come back into it, Lord Frozone, as everyone knows. So, Frederick, yeah, doing the right thing, just warding their own jungle, because you can see, gradually over the last couple of minutes, we're seeing Dignitas converge on their jungle, and Diamond actually, the crescendo comes down, he's forced to dance, that comes in, and Jarvan stops the kill onto Diamond, but takes a rocket to the backside for his troubles, and another one, in fact, he has to body slam out. Aatrox from the north side. Can't he get anything done? They want the engagement to happen, sitting straight on top of a ward, but what's Wizards' play here?
For the moment, looks like they plan to just get some guys healed up because they took a lot of damage on Dax there, but they got some summoner spells out of Sona. Ignite, Flash, and Crescendo are all down. And while Jax will continue to pressure Renekton back and he will continue to farm up, at the moment they don't need to worry about him solo pushing that tower down. He can't just completely ignore Renekton. He's just able to win that fight. So they need to defend this mid lane as best they can.
Yeah, and immediately nukes down Dax. Barrel comes across and the Ace in the hole comes through, but hits Impaler. Frederick wants to go for the engage, but they re-engage. Flying Rat comes through. And Caitlyn just stands on the front line just for a second. And all the auto attacks and skills come down. and almost take out Caitlyn in the process as they siege this turret. They've only got Grax really to stop this from happening, and he doesn't have the ultimate either, just the barrel rolls.
Yeah, he can slow them down. He can slow their attack speed. He can do a little bit of damage to the creep wave, but he's not going to be able to stop them from taking it if they get another wave in time. Jarvan and Caitlyn will be back in time, but it's just looking like Dignitas have got the stranglehold on this game, because even when Wizards take an advantage, even if they win a fight, thus far they've been unable to convert it into anything.
Yeah, only one tower's gone down so far. Flag drag comes through, doesn't quite hit Alchemist. But then they can't pick anyone, because as soon as Dignitas react, then they just kill whoever is trying to pick their player. And now they're pushing in onto this mid lane, but with the players respawning, in fact, we do have Corki and Sona down in the bot lane, so they could do some damage to this turret. Caitlyn very good in these scenarios. But even with 2 players, I'm sure they could stop them, especially if the Alchemist ultimate is up. Chain that into Dark Flight from Atrox, especially the double buff. Doesn't have the blood well, so he can't be as aggressive as he likes, but not sure if Jarvan wants to be doing this with a shockwave coming through. The Ignite comes out, flashes out, should be enough to pick up the kill, and he does indeed fall. Dax takes some tower hits, and Jax will not be coming in from the side. In fact, he's trading off a corner at the top lane who stuns him underneath the turret, but I don't even think he can win at this stage and will have to recall. So they've got so many issues, and now a bot lane, Samwise is also pushing.
Well, it was essentially, what, a 4-on-2 in that mid lane with the Orianna and the Aatrox getting dived core in the top lane.
Yeah, forced to use his Dominus just to stay alive from the Ignite. Nitrix wants to finish him off, doesn't have that much mana available to him. Could possibly do it. Ward comes out just to make sure that he doesn't choose to jump on him with Counter Strike and Leap Strike. But in the mid lane, middle tower will also fall, so Dignitas continuously taking advantages. And it's not like one of these slow grinding games either, Spuddington. They're very dynamic, they're going about it in a very fast way, so there's no possible chance of Wizards really making any counterplays.
Yeah, they are just constantly reeling on the back foot, and even when they did try and make that play in the mid lane, you can understand why they went for that dive. Jarvan was desperate to make it so that something could happen, to get that momentum, to start getting a couple of kills and maybe take a tower. They just couldn't do it, though. Mechanical mishap, didn't manage to land the flag and drag, and then the Orianna pulled him back under. He got destroyed as a result, and that just put them even further behind. That meant Corki and Sona could push down the bot. That meant Jax had no pressure to stop him from pushing out that top. I would say, though, at the moment, that the slight issue Jax is actually having is that he has mana. He does sort of occasionally run out of mana against Renekton when he would actually kind of like to keep applying pressure and keep pushing. Like in that last one, it looks like Wizards might be going for something.
Yeah, and in fact, they're looking for the pick onto Nitrix, but he's fairly tanky. Counter-Strike comes out and he's just batting away at Renekton as well, bringing bad memories of top lane. But kind of poking them down. Corwin already about 40%. That's not really the point that you want your bruisers in, but Yarrow takes some hits in return. Almost reaching a breaking point where one of these teams will initiate. And at the moment, it doesn't look like Dignitas will come out on top in 9 out of 10 scenarios. If you can kind of plan this out, Samwise poke coming across once again, keeping away from the barrel roll. And the Wizards, what can they do? Do they go for the team fight? Do they push mid, or do they get picked? Flash comes in, Crescendo comes out, and the knockup detonates the Dax. Corwin off to the side, and it completely split up the team of Wizards. There's nothing they can do about it.
That dragon is Dignitas's if they want it. They may get the blue as well, but it will get smited away. Forces the smite, though, from Frederick. And that dragon is just going to be another nail. And it's worth noting today, Pulse, this is a best of 1. This is not the usual best of 3s. That will be in the quarterfinals, semifinals, and maybe even the finals. I'm not 100% on that. But for this tournament, this round, best of 1s, if Wizards lose this game, they are out of the tournament, I believe, and that would be quite unfortunate for them. Really solid team.
Yeah, indeed, and Diamond looking for some more damage, and the shockwave comes through, hits 2. Can they get the kill, though? There's no Alchemist towards Jarvan. Ace the Hole comes across, picks up 1. Impaler has his blood well, hasn't been popped into it, though. Corwin leading the charge under the tower. Barrel comes through, knocks him back, and now into the blood well. Piltover comes through again, and nets out. And then Healer with the great escape. He should be able to get out of here. No way they can really chase him, especially when he has that Blades of Torment available. But they will now be backing off. Can they pick up the turret? The answer will be yes. And do they have any tools to stop them from going any further? Yes, because Corki is taking everything they own.
Yeah, that was, again, Wizards desperately trying to make a play, and this time in mid lane it actually kind of worked out for them in that kind of microcosm. But the problem was Jax was pushing top, Corki was pushing bot. They committed very hard to that. They got that mid tower, but that was already quite low. And because Corwin had to dive hard, he had to back off. He couldn't just kind of then rotate top to stop Jax, and he couldn't keep pushing down that mid lane with his team. It was kind of too much resources to commit to there, and not enough reward, but they had no real other options for plays there, so you really can't blame them for trying.
No, and I'm looking at the team fights as well, and there's very few scenarios in which Wizards would win, because I would say, well, sometimes if you land all your ultimates on top of each other, if they have that type of team, then sure, they can maybe win, but Dignitas is that team who would be in that scenario if they were behind. They have so much AoE, they have so much teamfight potential, that even if they were behind, they could potentially outplay them, but all Wizards really have at the disposal is Gragas ultimate, some of his burst, disengage, and then Caitlyn, who hasn't really ramped up in damage yet. She's still a one-item AD carry. Zax gets hit, distance comes across, and Impaler comes through, and a Blaze of Torment along with Samwise to the top side. Jarvan just using Cataclysm to get Samwise away from his allies, but has just turned himself into a lightning rod as Samwise looked for the kill. Corwin just kind of stands there and tells him that you're not going any further, but Samwise doesn't really have anything to fear.
Yeah, the legendary peace out J4 combo there, where you Cataclysm on someone and then you flag and drag out, but okay.
The damage coming onto Caitlyn, big one comes through, it will pop the barrier down to 9 HP, and Caitlyn gets out with her tail between her legs, but meanwhile Jax just farming away, pushing away in the bot lane, and no one to stop him. They're winning these fights 4 versus 5.
They're winning the fights 4 versus 5, and then Jax is taking even more advantages. And you can see how much damage, just a casual little, 2 autos there on Frederick. Good 10-15% of his health taken off. And look at the vision control right now. Corwin is not surprising anyone here when he goes top. Dignitas have so much vision control, and it's so hard to come back against that. Impaler even picking up an Oracles.
Yeah, the mountain just keeps getting steeper, and that's what it is like to play against a team like Dignitas, who do snowball so incredibly well. We've mentioned this time and time again in this cast, Buddington, but it's so true. They make every advantage happen, and they know exactly what to do in every stage of the game, no matter how far ahead they are. Just like, okay, we're this far ahead, therefore we'll ward in their jungle, or we're this far ahead, therefore we'll ward the jungle entrances and these objectives. And they do it so well. They're very fluid about it, and now with their new lineup, they're looking almost unstoppable.
Yeah, DX Alchemist has pulled out some really good ultimates this game, and we saw him nearly 100-0 Caitlyn before, but that was just kind of a show of how strong he was. In that fight around Dragon, really excellent usage of that, although in fairness, all he really had to do was press the button when Impaler jumped into the middle. I would like to mention though, okay, J4 nearly dead, but on a side matter, considering how hard this is, he's getting caught.
Yeah, Explosive Cast comes through and Nitro's wall back on off. I'm not entirely convinced he could have just turned around and murdered Diamond, but he's distracting 3 players essentially. And Jarvan has gone back, the chase continues, but they can't catch him, it's Jax. They have Gragas, but they need to commit more people to top lane, because a tower has gone down, and now they're moving on to the inhibitor turret. They can't keep committing that many people to stop Jax.
It's this brutal momentum play. You never take something from Dignitas for free, and that means if you're on uneven ground, you are going to be trading badly. It's essentially it's kind of a very similar concept to the same as lane trades with damage, except kind of on like a global map pressure level. They just never let anything go. They never stop playing aggressively, and it's really quite fun to watch, but feels very unpleasant to be on the other side of.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I'm not a pro player at this point, Spuddington, because I would not want to be in the shoes of Wizards, but they take another advantage in the form of blue buff, and honestly, everything in their jungle is belonging to Dignitas. There's nothing Wizards can do about it, and it's just another nail in that coffin. So, now with the inhibitor exposed in the bot lane, they could just group up, they could go for a team fight, or just carry on doing what they're doing. Send Jax bot lane, send the rest of the team top lane, carry on pushing, bait out Baron. They have so many opportunities available to them, and all of them are favourable.
Yeah, and in fact, they have a really good Baron clearing team. Aatrox and Jax, if they 2-man it, I reckon they could do it at this stage. That is how strong they are right now. And that's scary to deal with as Wizards, because they have no vision control. They have vision control in their own jungle, let alone in Baron, so they can't even safely approach Baron to ward it if they think they could be doing it. It's just, there are just so many bad options for Wizards and so few good ones unless Dignitas make a mistake. And that is very much a possibility. We've seen some plays they've made not go entirely according to plan. Flash Yarrow plays where they didn't get the kill. Stuff like that can happen and can continue to happen. If they start getting picked off, that momentum can actually end up turning around because you start wondering, well, we were doing so well, but then you lose that self-confidence. However, for now, Wizards still firmly on the back foot.
Yeah, you can definitely make an argument for it being a fairly risky play. Being so aggressive and being split up means you can get picks and gives the possibility of Wizards coming back in, picking an objective like Baron if they get 2 of those kills. But there would have to be 2 kills onto the perfect members. It would have to be like... in fact, it would have to just wipe out everyone because pretty much anyone on that team of Dignitas can probably 1 or 2 man stop the team of Wizards from taking Baron at this point.
Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. And, well, I'm gonna blow your mind right now. Jarvan is in bot lane.
Yeah, Jarvan in the mid lane, in fact, he goes for the flag and drag. Impaler comes out, they have the abilities to gap close and, in fact, get away from these situations, but with DX Alchemist off to the side, will they go for the re-engagement? Impaler, Darkflight is up, he also has the flash, Crescendo comes through onto Yarrow. Meanwhile, Samwise is getting completely destroyed by those bruises, and Ultimate comes across, hits Caitlyn, but she's wailing away at them. Could this be the comeback we're looking for from Wizards? 2-0 so far, but Ace in the Hole comes across, hits Yarrow on the backside. They're still looking for this kill, but do they want to be mopping up, or do they want to go for something like an objective? Because meanwhile,
stop Nitrix
killing the goddamn Nexus, and then Impaler picks up a little kill onto Caitlyn. Meanwhile, 1 versus 2, he's got the Bloodwell passive, and Corwin is still trying to kill Yarrow, but they're committing so many people, and they just needed to interrupt them while Jax kills their base.
Yeah, so Yarrow there really went for that aggressive flash crescendo. We've seen him before, but this time he wasn't doing it because he thought it was a particularly favorable engage, and we saw that. It didn't really work out for them in terms of a straight fight, but he did that because Jax was already beating down that inhibitor. Wizards were clearly trying to get back and to stop him from doing that. But in the end, the fight took so long. Nitrix was able to take not only the inhibitor, but and Nexus Tower as well. And I think if he had kept pushing even harder, he had a decent shot at taking out the other tower. There's no reason for him to risk it, but it might have happened. And now he's going for Corwin.
Yeah, Corwin jumps over the Wolf Slice and it will be okay, but 2-item Nitrix is looking very scary in the 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 1 or 3 versus 1. I'm not even certain that he couldn't 3 versus 1 against the right people against Wizards. And now they could make a play onto Baron, and there's nothing Wizards can do about it. Yes, they won that last fight, but essentially it was just Dignitas throwing themselves at them so Nitrix could take up the turret. Now they're 5 versus 5. There's very little chance of them coming back into it, and Renekton's at base, and Gragas is down in bot lane.
Only 1 level between the smites, though, and I think that might be why Dignitas is just choosing to say, okay, you've seen it, we're not going to risk it, we'll just back away. We barely took any damage from Baron anyway, and we've got the Sona heal, so no need to worry. Expect to see Jax, if they can't find a fight immediately, expect to see Jax return to that top lane, his natural habitat, and they will then just continue to push, take objectives, as we have seen them do time and time again. If they get complete vision control over this top jungle, though, it becomes so scary for Wizards to check Baron. Last time they were able to get up close because they knew Dignitas couldn't be there. This time, they don't really know much.
Yeah, and Jax, yep, he's just joining his team. What they could have done is sent Jax bot lane and gone with the classic split push. If Jax had teleport, that's definitely what they would have done. Nitrix looking for the pick, and Flash will be burnt from Diamond. So, just going to siege this away. They have decent wave clear in the form of Gragas, Barrows, and Zyra, and Caitlyn, in fact. So, very good at taking out these waves before they really reach the turret. But at the same time, Samwise has a lot of poke in his arsenal, and Alchemist has the zoning control of the ball as well. So we'll see what they can do against this turret. They'll gradually chip away at it, but they don't really have to wait for anything. They're only ever going to get stronger.
And remember how much damage Alchemist is actually doing right now. If anyone squishy puts a foot wrong, they will get pulled in by that shockwave. It looks like Dignitas are going to back away. They are going to go straight for the Baron, and they will be able to rush this down very, very quickly indeed. That is a dangerous play, though, because Jarvan could get there in time. He does have the flag and drag. He is only one level below. This is actually a little bit risky from Dignitas.
Yeah, can they pull off this amazing steal? But Crescendo comes through. He actually gets knocked away because of the shockwave, but it doesn't matter. Their smite is down. Can they steal it with the Gragas Power? The answer is no. Smite comes into fruition. Coleman jumps over the wall as well, maybe trying to pick it up himself, but as it is, he's caught between 4 angry Dignitas players. Meanwhile, Nitrix just going one versus everyone. It's just Nitrix, it's just Jax when it's 2-item Jax. Dax, in the meanwhile, is being chased down by Dignitas. Blazer Torment doesn't come through, but the big one of the rocket picks up the kill anyway. Caitlyn also dies. Jax is going ham. That's the GG, well played. And the first game in this best of 1 goes to Dignitas.
Yeah, that is the only game in this best of 1. We will have some more games from other rounds coming up soon, I believe. Not entirely sure who's going to be casting them, but I would just like to make one final note, though. Jax, until that very last Baron fight we saw, he was 0-0-0. He had no kills, no assists, and no deaths. He just had some farm and map pressure. And that kind of sums up Dignitas UK style in that whole game. Just constant map pressure and really, really playing it well. But regardless, guys, we will be going into a quick break and we will see you as soon as we can. Hopefully, we will not take as long as our previous delays, but at least we got one game done.